According to a new study by Fair Mental Health Claim for teenagers, the claims doubled last year, showing alarming numbers at the height of the spring wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. This rise in mental health claims lines amounted to 97% in March and 103% in April. Self-harm claims rose by 333%, and overdoses are up 120% among teenagers. Joining me now with more on how we can support our teenagers during these difficult times is clinical psychologist and author Dr. Rajin Moradian. Good morning to you, Mrs. Moradian. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So we just listed those numbers there. They're pretty disturbing and heartbreaking, but perhaps not so surprising given what we've all been through over the last year. What do you make of them?
Well, I mean, I've certainly been seeing anxiety and depression on the rise as a result of distance learning, social isolation, kids really being on excessive screen time and really not being with their peers and just not having their sense of normal that they're so used to. I'm also seeing an increase in impact on their mental health by stimulation, lack of socialization that they used to have.
Now, can you compare this to anything that we've seen in the past? I mean, some of those numbers, it's double and triple the previous year.
Yes. I mean, again, due to distance learning and just us being in this pandemic, I'm comparing it to like a muscle, right? If you think about before, that muscle was in constant movement for them prior to this pandemic, from socializing, attending school events, attention from teachers and peers, to almost nothing. It's a muscle that's no longer functioning. So, of course, you have now a rise in anxiety and depression, overdose in terms of substance use. We've seen an increase in that. And I'm not surprised at all at the numbers that we're seeing.
Is there anything that parents can do right now to help their students out, especially if they still haven't returned to in-person learning? Anything that they can do to help their children out?
Yes, absolutely. I think right now it's really crucial as we are transitioning back to school slowly, is continuing and having those conversations, having an eye out and communicating how they're feeling. I feel that even though if a child doesn't want to respond well or doesn't want to talk to a parent, I think it's really important that as parents, we kind of step back and really check in on them and how they're doing, because sometimes the signs of depression and feeling withdrawn, you don't really see those signs. They're very silent. So having that constant communication and connection is really important right now, more than ever.
Dr. Moradian, you said something really interesting here. Teachers are like first responders, and they were like that before the pandemic. Obviously now things have gone virtual and have been virtual for a long time. And you're hoping to equip teachers for when students return to the classroom like they are now. What does that mean?
So this is a project I'm very excited about. We are a group of women and professionals and educators, psychologists, and we also have a legislator on our team. We're calling it Team Project Rise, and we're proposing that teachers be provided with mental health training to manage the mental health struggles this pandemic has caused. So we really believe that teachers will need, the tools necessary to support students once they come back into the classroom, because no one's really talking about mental health and what that return is going to look like when kids return to the classroom. Kind of reminds me of some post-COVID stressors and blues that kids will be experiencing. So teachers will need to know how to respond to that when kids return.
Really quickly here in the last 30 seconds, parents or guardians who are watching right now, what are some resources that they can go to take action?
So we are, in order to push this through, this petition through, we're trying to get our petition to Congress, our proposal. We have a petition online. There we have a lot of information on teamprojectrise.com. Also, I want to give some resources for parents if their kids are in need of support in mental health. Psychologytoday.com is a great site to find providers. And also really helping with mindfulness. I think mindfulness and meditation is very helpful as well. One of my to-go sites also for that is UCLA Mindful. It's an app, or mark.ucla.edu has some really good resources as well.
Okay. Dr. Rajin Moradian, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Steve, I'll send it over to you.